Hi, I'm Stu from Hive Mind Automation and welcome back to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Switchbot Lock Ultra Vision combo and the Switchbot Lock Ultra Touch combo. As always, we're going to take a look around the outside of the boxes and get it out of the boxes. We'll get it set up in the native app and we're going to put it through some paces. And I also managed to get the Lock Ultra into Apple Home. So we'll take a very quick look at that as well. So while I roll the intro, why don't you take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified when I release new videos. While you're at it, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to support the channel, there's some affiliate links to smart home gadgets that you can buy for your very own smart home and support the channel at the same time without it costing any extra. Or you can support the channel directly through my Buy Me a Coffee link. Of course, those affiliate links and my Buy Me a Coffee can all be found on my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. So a few weeks ago, longtime friends of the channel Switchbot reached out asking if I'd like to review their new Lock Ultra Vision combo consisting of a smart lock and keypad to control it from the outside, and that keypad does facial recognition. And of course I said yes. The Lock Ultra Vision combo does come with the Switchbot Lock Ultra, the Switchbot Keypad Vision, and a Switchbot Hub Mini Matter enabled. It is the world's first retrofit smart lock that supports 3D facial recognition for unlocking, and the keypad also includes semiconductive fingerprint unlocking, NFC unlocking, and regular PIN code unlocking as well as many other options. The Lock Ultra has a really cool power setup with a main battery of 9 to 12 months of power on a single charge. There's also a backup battery in here with a CR123A battery that should last up to 5 years, even with 500 to 1,000 emergency unlocks. And there's actually also an electrolytic capacitor emergency backup built in here as well. The Keypad Vision or Keypad Touch have up to 12 months battery life on a single charge as well. And best of all, the Lock Ultra supports 99.9% of locks in the world according to Switchbot. It supports Home Assistant via Bluetooth and Matter via Switchbot Matter enabled hub, which the Hub Mini that's included if you purchase one of the combos rather than the Lock Ultra on its own is a Matter supporting hub. And of course, it integrates with the rest of the Switchbot ecosystem as well. It is designed to eliminate keys and offer seamless hands-free access, especially for when you've got your hands full using the 3D facial recognition. The Keypad Vision claims that it has a recognition within a second, and it has a built-in 850 nanometer infrared light for recognition even when it's dark outside. And it uses over 30,000 infrared light points to generate a millimeter level facial map, which is a lot like how faceID works on an iPhone. So it's not going to recognize a photo, and the false recognition rate is, according to Switchbot's documentation, less than 0.0001% when you're within 0.6 to 0.8 meters. The Bluetooth connection between the Lock Ultra and the Keypad Vision is always on for faster unlocking, and all facial maps and fingerprint data are stored only on the keypads for added security. If you're not after face unlocking, you can just go for the Lock Ultra Touch combo, which replaces the Keypad Vision with the Keypad Touch, which removes the Face ID but does retain the fingerprint, NFC and regular passcode unlocking, and also some of the others like geofencing. To pricing now, and the Switchbot Lock Ultra Vision combo with the Keypad Vision and the Hub Mini costs £299.99 or €299.99. The Keypad Vision is currently still in the process of completing verification for the US market. It should be launching soon in the US if it hasn't already by the time this video comes out. And the Switchbot Ultra Touch combo with the Keypad Touch and the Hub Mini as well as the lock is $209.99 US. £249.99 in the UK, or €249.99. I'll be sure to put a link below if you want to pick one of these combos up for yourself. Unfortunately, however, at the moment there's no word from Switchbot on whether this will be coming to the Australian market, but you could by all means get this from the UK or US Amazon stores and have it shipped to you. I will be sure to put links in the video description if you're looking to pick up your own Switchbot Lock Ultra combos for your own smart home. Now, in terms of prerequisites, you're going to need the Switchbot app on your smartphone, and you're also going to need a compatible door lock, which with that 99.9% boasted compatibility, it should be pretty easy. For the Hub Mini, you're going to need a 2.4 GHz wireless network to attach that to as well. To the unboxing bench now, and we'll take a very quick look around the outside of the different boxes.
Starting with the Lock Ultra, we have the front here, Switchbot Lock Ultra, simply smaller, faster, quieter, better. Add a Switchbot hub to support Amazon Alexa, Hey Google, Siri shortcuts, works with IFTTT and works with SmartThings. On the right hand side, we have a picture of the lock installed on a door. Elegant compact design, auto unlock, high speed, low noise motor. Around to the left hand side, and we have a picture of the battery arrangement, the multi-power, emergency battery backup, 9-month rechargeable battery, and compatible with 99% of door locks. There's nothing on the bottom of the box and just a Switchbot logo on the top. Spinning the box around to the back now, and we see it works as part of the Switchbot ecosystem, for example the Lock Ultra and the Keypad Touch, and I happen to have a Keypad Touch here which we'll look in the box shortly. There's other options there as well, like Lock Ultra Hub 2 and a bot, Lock Ultra and remote, and Lock Ultra Hub 2 and a curtain. There's some examples of some voice commands that you can send it through the various assistants, and then the specification. It's black, 122 by 62 by 6 by 66.8 millimeters in size. It's made from aluminium magnesium alloys, polycarbonate and ABS, and it weighs 367 grams. It's powered by one rechargeable lithium-ion battery, one CR123A battery for backup power, and has an operating temperature range of -10 to 45 degrees C. Connects with Bluetooth 4.2 or later, and an operating humidity range of 10 to 90% relative. To the Keypad Touch, Switchbot Keypad Touch, it takes just one touch, a representation of the unit and the red fingerprint icon there, and you can see the fingerprint button on the front. There's nothing on the right or the left, there's a Switchbot logo on the top, and on the back we see a mounting idea of putting it on one side of the door and having the lock on the other side. We've also got the Switchbot website and support email on the bottom there. Around to the bottom of the box, specifications is 112 by 38 by 36 millimeters, weighs 130 grams, takes two CR123A batteries that last approximately 2 years. Usage environment, outdoor and indoor, network connectivity, Bluetooth low energy, and a system requirements iOS 11 or Android 5. To the Keypad Vision, and we've got Switchbot Keypad Vision. Your face is the new key to security, and you can see the unit's a bit bigger than the Touch. On the right-hand side, advanced 3D facial recognition, supports NFC card, fingerprint and passcode supported, retrofit compatible keypad. On the back, we've got some specifications. It's polycarbonate with UV resistant coating, takes 5 volts at 2 amps, 131 by 65 by 30 millimeters, 205 grams, operating temperature -20 to 45 degrees C, humidity 10 to 90%, non-condensing, and Bluetooth low energy, and an IP rating of 65, and it's made in China, and we've got the website and email for support there. On the other side, advanced 3D facial recognition and a graphic there, and on the top we've got Switchbot. And lastly, universal lock adapter enables Lock Ultra installation on non-standard locks. Scan the QR code for an installation video.
So with the outside of the box covered off, let's get it all out of the boxes.
Starting again with the Lock Ultra, and we'll slice open the cellophane outer packaging and peel that away. We'll then grab the edges and then push the box out of the outer sleeve, and it was quite tight, so I struggled a little bit here. Again, we'll just grab the edges and lift up the top of the box, and when we get the lid off, we can see straight away the Lock Ultra. I played with the dial a little bit and it feels really nice. The build quality does seem very good on this unit. It says Lock Ultra, simply smaller, faster, quieter, better, and Switchbot. And then we lift up the flap and we see we've got the lithium ion battery and a USB A to C cable there. Pulling the battery out and taking a closer look, there's a USB Type-C port on the side for us to plug it in and charge, which is quite nice. On the bottom of the battery, we've got some markings, things like the nominal voltage of 3.7 volts, the capacity of 4200 milliamp hours, and the rated energy of 15.54 watt hours. Pulling the lock itself out of the box and then lifting up the plastic divider in here, and we see we've got some other bits and pieces in here, including mounting hardware. So we'll put the lock aside and focus on that. At the top here, we have a little plastic baggie, and if I open that up, we have some little adapters with a hex on one end and then different shaft profiles on the other end. And this is to attach to the shaft of certain locks. There's 4 of these in this bag, and there's another bag of another 4, which I actually missed during this unboxing. Next, we'll reach in and grab the user manual, and we've got multiple here in different languages, including Italian, German, French, Spanish, and Netherlands. Underneath those manuals, we've got regulatory compliance information and some safety information. Next, we've got a frame that goes around the base of the lock to dress everything up a little bit when it's installed with some nice double stick tape. And then we've got this mount plate, which fits around a keyway and has some screws to kind of clamp onto it. And then we've got this mount, which just has some VHB tape and fits around a different shaped keyway there. We then have this plastic bag, which has 3 different wooden fascia boards that we can then install onto the face of the lock to really kind of pretty it up a little bit in whatever color we like there. And then in this bag, we open that up and there's all sorts of things in here, most of it sticky. We've got these stickers to indicate the locked and unlocked positions. There's a little strip of VHB tape there. We have our Switchbot support with the social media, and then on the back there's the QR code and other ways to get support. We have our limited warranty card, which we get in every Switchbot product. There's another strip of the adhesive for that faceplate that we saw before, a pre-cut VHB tape for the lock mount that we saw before, and another pre-cut VHB tape. And we've also got 2 Allen keys in here. Now, because of the angle I was standing at, I missed the baggie with the other 4 adapters in it, and also the magnet with nice VHB tape on it for the contact sensor. Taking a closer look at the actual unit, it feels pretty well made. It's quite hefty. It's made of metal. I peeled the plastic off the outside and took the cover plate off. So with the cover off, we can take a look at how it mounts. And I'll grab one of these mounting plates, and if we take the mount plate and rotate it around and then slide the 2 posts in through the holes at the back, you can kind of see there's some little clips on the side that slide up and down. And for whatever reason, they were not in the right spot here. But once they're in the right spot and disengaged, we can then slide the posts in and then engage the clips, and it's locked in place and it's not going to come out easily. Once you disengage the locks, it will slide off quite easily. Looking inside the battery compartment now, and we've got a protective tab for the CR123A backup battery. And if I grab the main battery, we can slide that in and it clips into place with that orange tab there. We can pull that down and then slide the battery back out. Looking at the back of the unit, and if I grab one of the adapters from before, we can see that the hex of the adapter will slide quite nicely into the orange plate at the back, and that's spring loaded so that when you install the mount, it is not going to have a problem with how far away from the door it needs to be. back around to the front and the dial, we can actually have a push button here, and there's a light ring around the outside of the dial. And other than that, you can't really see a whole lot. The build quality is really good. It feels very solid. So there we have the hardware that's included in the box for the Lock Ultra, minus 4 adapters and the magnet for the contact sensor. Over to the Keypad Touch, and I will pull the plastic tab and then open the bottom of the box here, which was a little bit tricky because it was quite tight. And then we can slide everything out of the box in one movement. We've got a plastic tray with the plastic wrapped unit itself, and it's fairly small and quite nice. The buttons are really tactile, and the sensor is good. There's a little speaker on the side, and on the back we've got the battery compartment here, and this takes two C123A batteries, and there's some little lugs on there for mounting as well, and a little locking button. Putting that aside and opening the other box that's inside here, and we've got these two little mounts. I'm not sure what these are for, these little oval circles. And pulling on a tab, we get a little pick for opening, and then there's two CR123A batteries included, and a little kit with some screws and some wall anchors. Put that cardboard aside and slide a bunch more stuff out. We've got a Switchbot NFC card included, so we'll be able to test out the NFC with the unit. We've got our safety and regulatory information card there as well. And our user manual, and if we open that up, we can see what's included in the box. Sliding some more stuff out of the box, and we have a little alcohol wipe for cleaning surfaces. We have our limited warranty card we get with every Switchbot device, and our Switchbot support card with the social media data, and a little SIM eject tool, and a nice metal mounting plate for the keypad to go onto the wall, and those lugs kind of slide into the unit there, and then it clicks into place like that. There's some more stuff in here which was a bit harder to get out because it's in a little compartment, but there is a drilling template sticker and also a pre-cut VHB tape for mounting the mount plate as well. So there we have all the hardware included in the box with the Keypad Touch. To the Keypad Vision now, and again we'll peel the plastic tab back, and then we'll grab the edge and slide the outer sleeve out, lift up this flap and then open it up, and we have the Keypad Vision right on top here. And again, the build quality feels really nice. The buttons are really tactile. There's a few more sensors on here, so it's noticeably bigger. And it also has the button at the bottom with the indicator light. Looking at the bottom, we've got a speaker and a little rubber grommet here. And if we pull that open, we see we've got a USB Type-C charging port. And around the back, we've got mounting lugs and another rubber grommet and the on-off switch there. And we've got some specs on the back for the battery and the charging current, etc. And those two metal lugs and the little locking pin. Pulling out the second box in here, we can open that up, and we'll pull out some screws with some nice wall anchors in there. We've got our mounting plates, and there's an angle plate and a flat mount plate here, so you can mount this unit at a 15-degree angle. We've got a pre-cut sheet of VHB for mounting on a smooth surface with the mount plate, a pre-cut sheet for the angle bracket, a USB type A to type C cable for charging the unit. We've got this little eject tool here as well. And then we've got some stickers with either a bell or a home icon, our Switchbot support card here that we get with every device, an alcohol wipe, a limited warranty card that we get with every device, and our Switchbot keypad vision user manuals in various languages. There's a little drilling template sticker there as well, and also our CE warning data and our safety information. Lastly, to our universal lock adapter, again, I'll pull the plastic tab, and inside here we have a little screwdriver and this piece for mounting the unit with some nice VHB tape on one side, and this adapter which clamps onto the knob of the lock. It took me a moment to figure out how this works, but we take our little screwdriver and we can then widen or tighten the jaws there. We've got an extra piece of VHB tape and some little screws here to tighten everything down, and that's everything that's in the box. Taking a quick look here, I note that inside the battery compartment there's 3 screw holes, and those line up with the screws on the inside plate of the universal lock adapter, and there's also screw holes down the sides to lock that plate into place.
So now it's time to go and install the Lock Ultra onto my door. Now this is going onto the external garage door, which I installed a deadbolt on this morning just so that I could review this lock. So let's head over there now.
So here we are in the garage looking at the lock. Now we've also got our box of parts, and the mount plates that we have aren't going to work for us. Switchbot sent over some videos of how to install it, and I noticed that there was a plate that can use the 2 screws that hold the lock mechanism together, and then we could work with the tailstock of the lock itself. I'm going to use the universal mounting kit and use the adapter there to just actuate on the knob of the lock instead and set it up that way. I'm just dry fitting everything here to see how it's going to look, and we'll now fit the universal adapter and tighten that down onto the knob of the lock here. And I'll just check that that's still moving nice and freely and make sure it's as tight as we can possibly get it. Next up, I'm going to just check to see how it's going to interface with the Lock Ultra, and that it's going to move nice and smoothly. Just a dry fit again here. So I can set the depth with the screws on the side. Now, it turns out that I had the plate on the inside around the wrong way. It was backwards, and that's how it came in the box. So if you are using one of these, you do need to have the flat side of that plate facing outwards to interface with the back of the Lock Ultra. So here I'm putting the screws into the battery compartment and tightening those down. And then I need to set the depth, and we can see much better here how that works with the sliding mechanism there. So I dry fitted again, and I determined that we were going to be able to use any of the first 3 holes closest to the door for this to work. So here I'm just tightening up the last of those side screws, and I've put them in the first position there. So I do have this surround plate here, and unfortunately, because we're using the universal adapter, it's not going to work. It does mean that it's maybe not going to be quite as tidy as I had hoped. So the last part of installation now is going to be to fix it to the door. So again, I'm just dry fitting, making sure everything still moves okay and that it's actually working the lock okay. So I locked and unlocked a few times with the manual handle and checked that it was actually doing what it needed to. With everything working fine, I then peeled off the backing for the VHB tape, and it wasn't nearly as satisfying as I'd hoped. But with that peeled off, I lined everything up as best as I could, and then once it was lined up, pressed it against the door and held it there as hard as I could for about 30 seconds. Then I grabbed it and tried to pull it off, and it was nice and solidly on there. And then I tested the lock was working as expected. So now we can get ready to actually pair the lock. So I'll grab the plastic tab for the backup battery and pull that out, and the unit powers up and we get a white and blue ring. And then we grab the main battery and flip it around to the right orientation after peeling that sticker off. And then we can slide that in and it locks into place with the orange clip. And then I'll install the cover plate so everything's neat and tidy.
So now with the Lock Ultra installed on the deadbolt, we can get it paired up with the Switchbot app and start exploring.
So we've already powered the unit up. So all we need to do now is over on our iPhone, open up the Switchbot app. And then we can tap the plus button in the top right-hand corner of our dashboard here and click Add Device. It's going to search for Bluetooth devices nearby, and we see the Lock Ultra pop up, and we can tap on that and it takes a moment to load. It shows us instructions to power it up by pulling the battery isolation tab and making sure the main pack is in position. We've already done all of these things, so we can then tap connect at the bottom and it's discovering and connecting to the device. It has an important firmware upgrade and it's not going to let us go without doing that, so we'll tap upgrade. And this took 37 seconds to complete the software update to the latest version. With the firmware up to date, we can now set a name and pick a room that it's in. I picked the garage and I didn't change the name on this at all. Then we tap next and we have loading and added successfully. Now let's start to install your Lock Ultra. We can tap installation guide and see either a pictorial or a video guide, but we've already installed it. So we're gonna tap already installed. There's two types. We can select either a night latch lock or a one-piece lock. In my case, we're using a one-piece lock. There's no latch on this deadbolt. Next, we need to calibrate the lock. So we open and hold the door, and making sure the device is unlocked, we tap next and it calibrates the unlocked position and the fully extended position, and then asks us to confirm that the deadbolt has fully extended, and we can tap yes. It then unlocks and confirms the calibration is set. Our next step is to calibrate the contact sensor magnet. Now this is where I realized that I hadn't grabbed the magnet out of the box. So I went and grabbed it, did a quick dry fit to figure out where it was going to go, pulled the lining off the VHB tape off the back of the unit, and then pressed it into place as close to the edge of the door frame as I could so it would be nice and close to the lock. With the magnet now attached, we were able to calibrate it, and we need to keep the door unlocked and tap next and then close the door, and the device automatically locks after the calibration completes, and we can tap finish. Out to the dashboard now, and we see we've got home sharing. If we want to allow other users to access the lock device, we can invite them to join our home as home members, and they can only control the lock via Bluetooth. We'll dismiss that for now, and we've got the main window here where we've got a big locked status there and a big round button. And what we should be able to do here is tap the locked and it will then unlock, which it did, and you can see the status update nice and quick there, and then we can lock it as well. We also see here that we have keypad and that's not paired at the moment. We'll do that shortly, and video doorbell and remote as well are showing up there. I tapped on logs at the bottom of the screen, and after a moment of loading, we saw the lock and unlock events in the logs. Backing out and tapping on the cog in the top right hand corner, we get settings. At the top, we've got the Lock Ultra where we can change the name and the room and the home it's connected to. And then we've got basic settings in here with toggles for indicator light, sound, remote unlock reconfirm, and setting the door lock type Next is quick key, and we can enable quick key for lock and unlock, lock only or unlock only, and the trigger action settings for either single or double pressed. And quick key is the button on the back. So if we press that, it unlocks, and press it again and it locks the lock. Backing out, we then have alarms. We can have a door ajar alarm if it's left open for a certain amount of time, or we can have a left unlocked alarm. Next, we have auto lock, and if we drill in there, we can turn on auto lock and relock to auto lock or relock the door if it hasn't been opened or unlocked after a specified time, no matter if the door is open or not. So the auto lock timing by default is 1 second. We'd probably want to move that up to something like a minute at least. And backing out, we then have calibrate lock, which we already did, but we can auto calibrate or manually calibrate. Night latch settings, so if you need a key to open the unlocked door from the outside, we can enable night latch. There's partially lock settings, so some locks have multiple modes of locking where a partial lock and a full lock are different, and then rotation speed by default is high. There's also medium and low, and then we've got night mode, which we can set for certain periods, so it auto locks at night, disables auto unlock, auto locks after a specific time, and the rotation speed is set to low, which makes it fairly quiet. And lastly, we can also turn the sound off in here to make it not beep when it locks or unlocks. I'm just setting the auto lock timing to 1 minute for night mode. We'll head back out, scroll a bit further down, and we see auto unlock, which is in beta, and we can turn that on to do things like geofencing and Bluetooth connection will trigger an unlock, and we have to agree to T's and C's if we turn that on. I'll leave that alone. Third-party services, we have all the usual stuff, including Matter in here, and we need to deploy the device to a hub in order to pair that with Matter. Backing out again, we have NFC, and we use NFC tags to lock or unlock the device around the house. We can just tap our phone and it'll do the action. And then we've got our installation guide we saw during the setup, help and feedback with user manual, FAQs and feedback, firmware and battery we saw before, and we've got the main and the backup pack levels there. And lastly, the device info with the Bluetooth low energy MAC address. Heading back out to the main page, and that's pretty much it. We have the big button to unlock or lock the device and details of the different accessories that are paired to action against it. Next, we'll get ready to set up the keypads. So I'm just going to open the battery compartment on the back of the Keypad Touch and then open up the pack of batteries and install those into the Keypad Touch. And off camera, I made sure to charge up the Keypad Vision as well with the USB-C charger. Heading outside, and we're going to need to make a decision between the Vision or the Touch. For the purposes of today, I'm just going to install both of them and try them both out. We're also going to need to decide where we're installing them. We could install it on the outside of the door or on the brick wall here. I'm going to go with the brick wall, and we need to make sure, especially with the Vision, that we install it at the right height so that the sensor can detect our face. I'll start with the Keypad Touch, and I'm just using some double stick tape against the brick here. It's not super secure because I don't have full contact with the brickwork, so it's a bit loose, but it should be fine for the purposes of testing. And with the Keypad Vision, the same thing. I'm just using some double stick tape here and pressing against the bricks. This one's much stronger because I have much better contact with the bricks. Because this is my backyard, it's outside, I wasn't sure that I actually wanted to permanently fix this to the wall, but having set it up there, I'm seriously considering actually permanently attaching it with the screws and wall anchors because it is actually quite nice to have. So our next step is going to be to pair the keypad with the lock. So we'll open up the Switchbot app on our iPhone and then tap on keypad, which is not paired, and then the plus button in here, which will let us pair the keypad. Then we need to make sure it's got batteries installed and press and hold the lock and OK buttons for 2 seconds until the green LED starts flashing, which it is, and then we can tap next. It's connecting to the device and we can set a name and select a room. I'm going to set this to the garage even though it's outside. Then tap next. Now we are connecting the keypad touch, connecting the lock, and saving the pairing information here. And we now have a test code, so we need to lock the door and enter the test code on the keypad. With the test code entered, the door unlocks and spits us back out to the pair with device page, and it shows it's already paired to another device. We back out and then we can go back into the keypad touch and we've got some information in here. I'll just move the camera over here so we can see better. And after sitting on the page for a second, we see we've got a new firmware version that we need to upgrade to. And so we can tap upgrade and it's going to go through the same process to update the firmware. With the firmware upgraded successfully, we can tap finish, we get back out to the firmware and battery page, then back out to the settings and then back out to the dashboard for the Keypad Touch A1. Rather than exploring all the settings on the Keypad Touch, I decided to pair the Keypad Vision, which meant I needed to take it off the wall using the eject tool and then turning the switch, which is underneath the rubber grommet, on. I then reinstalled the Keypad Vision onto the mount and we were ready to pair. So I opened up the keypad not paired in the app and pressed and held the lock and OK buttons until the green light was flashing and then tapped next in the app. It said connecting to your device and then there was an important firmware upgrade required, which it wouldn't let us continue without doing that. So I tapped upgrade and just cleaned the sensor a little bit. With the firmware upgraded, we were prompted to set a name and a room, and again I selected to put this into the garage even though it's outside. We tapped next and then it was connecting to the Keypad Vision, connecting to the lock and saving the pairing information, and we got a test code to enter which I typed in and tapped the OK and it unlocked the door. We got a paired successfully prompt and I then tapped the lock button on the keypad, and a noticeable difference between the Keypad Vision and the Keypad Ultra is that the Keypad Vision does have a voice prompt when it has completed the locking or unlocking. From the dashboard of the device, we can, on passcode, tap the plus button here to set a new passcode. I just set a really basic permanent passcode. I've since deleted this. We can enter up to 12 digits. It needs to be a minimum of 6, and we can give it a name. I called this one YouTube for the purposes of this video and tapped save. Once it was saved, I typed in that passcode and then tapped the OK button and it unlocked the door and gave us the voice prompt. Face entry is something we don't have on the Keypad Touch, but fingerprint is. I'll come back to face entry. We tapped plus, then permanent, and then start adding and scanned the thumbprint 4 times. Once we've scanned 4 times, we can then give it a name. I just called this Stew Thumb and then tapped save. With that saved, we can now use our thumbprint to unlock the door. It is important to note, however, that we don't use our thumbprint to lock the door. We just press the lock button and it will lock the door. Next up, we have NFC card, and if we tap that, we can tap the plus button and add a permanent card. And we have the card that we paired with the Keypad Touch earlier. I'm just going to tap add new NFC card and demonstrate pairing this with the same card just because I cut that bit out, but we'll leave the card as YouTube. We'll set the name, we'll tap save, and then we tap the card and we save that card. Now when we tap the card, it will unlock the door. And we can tap the lock button to lock the door again. The last thing here is the face entry. So tapping on that, we'll tap the plus button. we'll add a permanent face. The instructions tell us to complete the installation, stand about 0.6 to 0.9 or arm's length away from the keypad vision, face the keypad vision directly, stand straight, and ensure our face is fully visible with no hats, sunglasses, or masks. And we need to tap I agree and then tap start adding. Once we tap start adding, it scans our face and it worked really quickly. We can then give this face a name, and I'll call mine Stu. We'll tap save and then add it successfully. We tap next and we can start testing. We'll stand again between 0.6 and 0.9 meters away, tap start testing, and the unit will flash and recognize us, and it worked. And we can tap finish and it backs out to the dashboard there, and we can see our permanent face has been registered. So with the face now enrolled, and I was able to successfully unlock the door, and it's really quite responsive. It's very quick. I do just want to mention that bottom button there, which can act as a doorbell or other button trigger there as well. But with that done, we can start exploring the settings. Now, I didn't want to get too into the weeds, so we're only going to look at the keypad vision. The keypad touch is pretty much the same, just without the face recognition stuff. So from the dashboard of the keypad vision, we'll tap the cog in the top right corner, and we have the usual stuff. We got the name and the room that it's in, and we can tap face entry settings and set the trigger face recognition to either auto or manual. And manual just means that we need to press a button to trigger a face recognition event. Backing out, we have recognition sensitivity. It's set to low, medium, and high, and that can change the distance. Then there's a disabling interval, which means that it won't recognize for at least this interval after the last detection, to reduce the battery usage a little. Next, we've got lock button settings, and if we drill in there, we can disable or enable, or only have it enabled when the door's closed. In button settings, we can select the function of the action button, which either rings or activates a scene. Next, we have disable keypad, which does what it says on the box. We can disable this keypad so that it becomes inoperable and won't impact the lock at all. Next, we have removal alerts, so we can get an alert if the device gets removed from the wall, and it will set off an alarm to make a lot of noise. We then have audio settings, and we can set the audio to English, and we've got mute, high, medium, and low for the volume. Backing out, we then have fast unlock, which is enabled by default. It keeps the connection between the lock and the keypad vision alive all the time. In device pairing, we can unpair the keypad vision from the lock. And then we have the different user information. So installation guide, help and feedback. Then we've got firmware and battery, which we saw when we were updating the firmware. And then in device info, the Bluetooth low energy MAC address there. And lastly, there's the delete button in there. Now again, the settings for the keypad vision and the keypad touch are pretty much all the same, with the obvious difference that the keypad touch doesn't have the Face ID settings. The last thing to do here is I'll go to my Switchbot hub, and there's a firmware upgrade to do. I ended up doing this one off camera, and then I was able to tap on the cog in the top right hand corner and then go to Matter Setup. We could go into secondary devices and scroll through here and then tap the plus button next to the Lock Ultra 24, which is in the garage. And that then added the Lock Ultra to the Matter accessories that were being exported by the Switchbot hub. Now all I needed to do was back out of the Switchbot app and then go into my Apple Home app, and then in the ellipsis in the top right hand corner, tap on Home Settings. In Home Hubs and Bridges, find my Dining Room Switchbot Hub 2 and drill into that, and we see we've got 6 accessories there. And if I drill into 6 accessories, we see we've got the Lock Ultra 24. Tapping and holding the tile and then releasing would take us to the settings with the cog in the bottom right, and we can see the details about the device in there. Because it's paired through the Switchbot hub, the only real thing we can do here is add automations or add it to a scene and read the information about the manufacturer, serial number and model. It is important to know, however, that just because it's in HomeKit doesn't mean that we can use the Switchbot Lock Ultra combo with Apple HomeKey.
Now for this video, I'm not going to get into Home Assistant just yet, but I will be making some hardware and setup changes to my production Home Assistant server very soon. And when that's done, I should be able to connect to more of my Switchbot devices directly over Bluetooth and also start using Matter over Wi-Fi as well. So that is the Switchbot Lock Ultra Vision combo and Touch combo. I'm super impressed with the responsiveness of the facial recognition on the Keypad Vision, and build quality of all of these accessories does feel really premium. I will say, with the exception of the very plasticky nature of the Hub Mini, but it's fine. It's an indoor unit. It's not going to move anywhere. It's just going to get plugged in and sit there and not do a lot else. I do love the broad compatibility of the Lock Ultra, and combined with that universal lock adapter, it does mean that it'd be really easy for me to remove the Lock Ultra and take it with me if we ever decide to move house. And provided I keep all of the attachments, any of the new locks that we have, I should be able to figure out a way to make that work. The Akara deadbolt that I reviewed previously, if I wanted to take that with me, I'd have to replace the whole deadbolt assembly. But with this, I don't have to replace anything except probably the paint on the door, because that VHB tape is 100% going to remove that. I did notice a couple of things that weren't so great about the unit while we were recording this video though. At one point during a locking or unlocking cycle, I'm not exactly sure which, the deadbolt on my door might have jammed up a little bit. And from then on, the Lock Ultra was out of calibration, which meant that even though the Keypad Vision said that the door was unlocked, it wasn't, and I had to resort to using my key to move the bolt back that last tiny little bit. It just wasn't rotating all the way. And even after manually unlocking the door and relocking it, it kept moving back to that same position during the unlock. So I ended up having to recalibrate the lock to make it all work again. The only other thing, which was a disappointment to nobody but me, it's not actually a problem, is that once you've paired one keypad, you can't pair a second one to the same lock. Now, in fairness, I'm struggling to think of a reason that you might want to, other than maybe having a keypad touch at your side gate with an automation that also triggers the gate to unlock when you put in your passcode, and then keypad vision by the door for when you're just pottering around in the yard and you want to just walk up and unlock the door. Now, I'm pretty sure both of these problems should be able to be fixed with a firmware update, so it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for these devices. All in all, I'm really impressed. Switchbot have been kicking a lot of goals in 2025 with the K10 Pro Combo Vacuum Cleaner, which I loved, the Air Purifier and Air Purifier Table, which I loved, and now the Lock Ultra Vision and Touch combos, which seem to be really great devices so far. I want to say a big thank you to Switchbot for being the great supporters of the channel that they are. I will say one of the best things about the Lock Ultra combo that we have here is certainly that with the Switchbot Hub Mini hooked up to your wireless network, which I didn't show in this video to keep it a little bit shorter. I might do a separate video on the Hub Mini at a later date, but with the Hub Mini hooked up, you should be able to then see the status of your lock from wherever you are in the world, so long as you have an internet connection. So if you've ever left the house and then gotten somewhere and then panicked because you thought you might have forgotten to lock the door, you can now not only check, but actually fix it if the door's not locked. And with the Hub's Matter compatibility, sharing the lock into Apple Home is actually really simple. And not to mention, if you have the lock shared into Apple Home, you could just ask Siri if the door is locked. As always, let me know your thoughts about the Switchbot Lock Ultra Vision and Ultra Touch combos in the comment section down below. That is all we have for this video, and I do hope that it's helped you in your home automation and smart home journey. Be sure to drop a comment below with a home automation idea that you'd like to see me cover in a future video. And don't forget to follow Hive Mind Automation on Instagram and Facebook. If you liked this video, hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like. And if you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to think about changing that. While you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll get a notification when I release new videos. Lastly, if you like what I'm doing here and you want to help support the channel, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Any contribution you make through Buy Me a Coffee does get put towards making more and hopefully better content for you to enjoy. Don't forget to check out my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Stu from Hive Mind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.